Welcome to Careers in Accounting. Today we welcome Mike Weiss. Mike is a managing director with the consulting practice at EY. Welcome, Mike. Appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to the session.
Excellent. Maybe to get started, can you talk about how you became interested in accounting and began your career in accounting?
You bet. I would say half of it was just a hunch, and the other half was I really liked what the career prospects were in the field. Starting with the hunch, for some reason, in high school and college, I just thought to myself, gosh, I ought to try accounting. I didn't really know that much about accounting, but based on that hunch, I started looking into it, started asking a lot of questions, started reading up on it, doing as much homework as I could, talking to a lot of people. And this was 27, 28 years ago, but found out that the careers in accounting were, at the time, downright exciting and fabulous, and got very excited. So took that hunch, honed it further into some research and asking a lot of questions, and became an accountant.
Okay. And Mike, you were telling me you started in auditing.
That's right.
So maybe talk a little bit about the traditional path of auditing and then how you got into the consulting practice.
You bet. So a lot of accountants, and I tell students this all the time, you really ought to start in either auditing or tax, because you will learn the fundamentals so well, and those practices are so great at taking people, say, fresh out of college, training them up very quickly, and making them getting their careers off to an incredible start.
Okay.
So I often tell students, gosh, I think if you're an accountant, either audit or tax is the way to go, fresh out of college. Then later on, when you see all the different possibilities that are out there, that's generally when full-time team members look further into consulting. Okay. Once they've got all their technical skills down, once they get through that awesome career training that all of the auditors and tax folks go through their first couple of years, then they start to see all these other possibilities that you can do with your career and switch into consulting a little bit later on. And that's what I did. I practiced for about 10 years in auditing, and then I've been in consulting for 15 or 16 years ever since then.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about what do you do as a consultant in a Big Four firm? I'm very interested in that because my experience was the tax and audit people don't exactly know what the consulting wing does, but maybe you can shed some light.
Yes, and the question you just asked is asked by not only our audit and tax professionals, but by many of my friends and other people I run into. Sure. In short, clients, businesses, organizations, they have challenges, okay? Just part of being in business. And a lot of those challenges they tackle on their own. A lot of those challenges, they sit back and they say, gosh, what are maybe some other companies doing? Or how do I think a little bit more outside the box beyond what I may know and what my own company knows, and ask for some more perspectives? And that's usually how the consulting arrangement starts with a problem that a client may think, I need a little outside perspective here. Then, as we come up with ways to solve that problem, they then often look to us for helping them implement the solution, whatever that may be to the problem that they're having. And so perhaps the best way to describe a consulting engagement is it starts with a client has some sort of problem. They look to us to do some outside research, bring outside perspective, give them insight into what other maybe market competitors are doing. And then they ask us oftentimes to help them with implementing that solution or helping them solve that problem within their company.
And I guess, Mike, when the starting point you mentioned, which identifying the problem, you probably get a lot of leads from the other colleagues in audit and tax, what their experiences are walking the halls and talking to people. They hear about initiatives within the company, and then they highlight that to you.
That would be a great example right there. A lot of them say they come to us with an accounting issue. There's some sort of complicated technical accounting or tax matter. Well, they know that between all of our clients around the world, chances are we've dealt with that issue somewhere else. And of course, we honor our clients' confidentiality in how they solve that problem, but we can generally accumulate the data to support a viable answer without disclosing anything inappropriate, and come to them with some ideas as to, okay, so we've seen this issue in Europe, we've seen this issue in China. This is how other organizations have potentially dealt with it, and give them some ideas based very much on what you just said, because we have so many other professionals throughout the globe who have, chances are, dealt with a similar issue.
Excellent. Well, can you share a couple of examples of some recent projects you've been involved with?
You bet. Well, just in about a month, well, you said recent. How about I look forward a little bit?
Perfect.
And in about a month, I'm going to head to northern Japan, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
I, for 1 year of my career, I actually lived in Japan.
Okay.
And I haven't been back in about 15 years. And this particular client has a challenge with kind of the U.S. regulations and how they don't actually apply in Japan, but they see a lot of things that are very good about those regulations.
Okay.
And they want to adopt the same sort of solutions in Japan. And now these are these are not accounting related matters necessarily. These are matters regarding how you protect your data, matters how you protect your customers' data, that there are some incredible U.S. regulations that do not apply in Japan, but they want to learn how do we do this in Japan simply because it's a good idea and it's right for their business, right for their customers.
Excellent. Excellent. That's going to be very interesting.
It will be.
Very
it will
interesting.
be.
Okay. Maybe can you talk a little bit about some outside opportunities that may have come your way working at EY, and maybe for yourself or other colleagues?
You bet. And I don't know if this is maybe what you anticipated, but there are both professional and personal opportunities galore. Yeah. One of the greatest things about our jobs is that in your first year, chances are you're going to sit down with a CFO. Chances are in your first year, you're going to sit down with a CIO, and you're going to have real meaningful conversations with these folks. And they will naturally come back to you, not only with their maybe accounting or tax related matters, but they'll come back to you with, you know what, this charity, the American Cancer Society, is looking for some junior board members. Are you interested in that? Do you think maybe you want to get involved in that? Or, gosh, you know what? I'm aware of this professional women's network that really focuses on helping women succeed in business. You know anybody that might be interested in helping us with that? And so the professional and the personal opportunities are just off the charts because of the people that you're working with on a daily basis, the very complicated matters that you're dealing with, and the fact that a lot of people out there want to network. They want to help you get involved and see your career blossom. Sure. And so those opportunities are all over the place, both professionally in terms of, well, here's a job I got, here's another step in your career, but also, gosh, here's what's going on in the community. I need some help with this particular initiative, et cetera.
Wonderful, wonderful. Maybe you could talk about some of the challenges the accounting profession's having, and your firm in particular, of attracting talent, and what that may mean for a young, talented professional.
You bet. So there are some licensing requirements, no doubt about it. Substantially everybody in the firm is a CPA, and there are other options, but that's quite a challenge, right? And so, of course, people have to study hard, get good grades, be on track to pass that exam. But I'd say a broader issue is that accounting is not something that you see as accounting or tax is not something that you necessarily see in the movies as exciting and changing the world. And we are all very humble people. And so we don't go around telling people, oh, I'm doing these incredible things and these incredible projects. We're all kind of humble people. And so I think that's a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I think people see things on TV or in the movies or on social media. They're like, wow, that looks exciting. And I don't think there are those sorts of things out there about accounting.
Yep.
So it's a barrier that people maybe underestimate how fruitful a career in accounting or tax could be.
Yeah. And the way it was explained to me early on in my career, to your example of your Japanese client, you're helping them, and indirectly, that's their business objectives and what they do in the world. They may be doing something completely fruitful and very important in the world, and you're assisting them in achieving that. So that's kind of the way it made sense to me in the profession.
That's right.
Can you share with us a little bit about work-life flexibility in your day-to-day career and how that in your teams? How do you guys function?
That is definitely something that has evolved over the years. Of course, clients have deadlines, they have needs, very important projects. But at the same time, what I think we do a wonderful job of, and really the whole profession does a wonderful job of these days, is balancing doing what's right for the client and making sure that they are satisfied, you got a good solution for them, you're hitting their deadlines, and maintaining your own personal well-being so that you have a long-term fruitful career. You don't experience burnout. You get a chance to do things that are very important to you, whatever those may be, the Friday night softball team or the Monday afternoon meeting with the American Cancer Society.
Yep.
Doing things that are very important to you so that you maintain your own personal health and well-being and feel like your own career is moving at a very, very rapid pace. Of course, you want to serve the client. Very, very important. But we want to maintain your health and well-being. At this point in my career, this is a prime example right here of flexibility. It's roughly 9:30 in the morning, and I'm not in my office.
Prime work time. Yep.
Right. This is prime work time that you would think, oh, you got to be in the office, got to be cranking through paperwork and emails. And no, that's not the case. I have total flexibility, and my clients want me to have that flexibility because they know that when something comes up and they need me, they know I'll be there.
Yeah.
And I'll be there with my team members that they really like.
Yep.
No doubt about it.
And I assume that flexibility is also driven in part by the talent in your team. And so getting good young teams working for you is helpful in that because then you can play off of each other's, different schedules.
That's right. That's exactly right. Right now, I have a team member in Raleigh, North Carolina, who I can almost guarantee you right now is closing down a very, very, very important project with a client. And I'm sure he's doing a wonderful job. And everybody's going to be very satisfied. But here I am with flexibility speaking to you, and it's the middle of the morning.
Yep, excellent. Compensation, that's always on the mind of young students. So could you talk a little bit about the near-term compensation prospects in an accounting firm for top-level talent?
Sure. So I think certainly the starting salaries are great. And there's lots of data out there. I don't need to disclose anything. There's lots of data out there. The starting salaries are great. Are there other opportunities out there with higher salaries? Of course, there always will be. Are there other professions with higher salaries? There always will be. There always will be some with less, too. What I think is different about accounting, auditing, tax, consulting is that there's a bit of a hockey stick to your compensation. What I mean by that is your career moves so quickly, and there is no such thing as stagnation, that you become a senior, you become a manager, you become a senior manager, et cetera, at a very rapid pace. Whereas you could look at a lot of other careers out there, and you know of that person, we all have them, a cousin, a friend, whatever, who's been in the same role for 10 to 15 years, right? Auditing, tax, and consulting starts at a given salary, But then there is a ramp where I don't think it is a stretch to say that every 5 or 6 years, you effectively double your compensation.
Along the way with the work-life balance that you mentioned as well, which is very appealing.
Correct. I was told that maybe 27, 28 years ago, and I look back and I think that's right. About every 6 years, it doubles. So there's always going to be people out there with more compensation. There'll always be people out there with less compensation. But I think the beauty of these particular roles is the rapid advancement in your career and the compensation that goes along with that.
Excellent. Maybe in closing, besides just pure technical skill sets and working on that in school, any advice for areas that a young college student should focus on before they get into the profession?
I would have a couple of obvious suggestions and then maybe some more complicated suggestions. One, obvious, always do the right thing.
Okay.
Your clients will always appreciate, even if you miss a deadline or if you don't have the best solution, be an honest person, do the right thing, and that will always serve you well.
Okay.
2, work hard. No doubt about it. Study hard, be involved on campus, be involved in part-time jobs.
In the classroom.
Involved in the classroom.
I would love that.
Absolutely. And make sure you are well-rounded. And then perhaps more complicated, try and make sure that it's always about your team or it's about your client. If people sense that you're kind of focused on your own success, or you're focused on taking credit for stuff, it's not a good long-term solution. As you make your team successful and as you really partner with your client to help them solve a problem and make it about solving the problem and helping their business, then your career is going to take off.
Excellent. Well, Mike, really appreciate this. Lots of good content there, lots of good thoughts. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're very welcome.